Now, to The Voice. Michael, the Liberals today said, finally, no to Labor's plan for The Voice, a kind of Aboriginal-only advisory parliament, no to putting it in the Constitution. How's that decision going to play out, do you think, for The Voice with the referendum coming up and for the Liberal Party?
I think they're two separate questions. I think for the referendum, I don't know how much impact it really will have on the referendum. But for the Liberal Party, I think it's an important decision he's made, because I didn't think he came out directly against The Voice. He basically did say there should be some sort of constitutional recognition for Indigenous people in the Constitution, but he focused on, I think, what the key vulnerability of this whole proposal is, and that is this administratively clumsy proposal that the Prime Minister's put up. You know, there's another element to this that really hasn't come out in the debate, and that is the very fact that we're seeking to put an administrative structure into the Constitution is almost an admission that it can never be successful in terms of meeting the outcomes that most Australians support. That is, lifting Indigenous standards of living and getting rid of Indigenous disadvantage. Are we seriously saying that in 200 years this particular clause will still be required, that you've got to have a constitutional body? And I think that's been the vulnerability from day one, because it's not a strategy to deal with the issues that I think most Australians support, and that is dealing with Indigenous disadvantage. Now, if the Liberal Party is able to make that case, and I think it's a credible case, I think the position they've come up with now is one that at least is arguable. I think they're in a good position to restore some of their fortunes. Whether that impacts on the final decision, because a lot of this stuff is motherhood, and really a lot of people will vote for it because they think it'll have a on-the-ground impact, not understanding the complexity of the issue. So I think it's a double-edged sword, but a positive possibly in the medium term for the Liberal Party.
David Gazza, do you agree with that?
I do. I actually think Michael is spot on with that. The problem for Peter Dutton is to overcome what happened this afternoon. And as soon as he'd made his position clear, there were a number of Labor MPs that rushed out to conflate his position on the voice and its enshrinement in the Constitution with constitutional recognition. And that is the challenge for Peter Dutton, is to take a very complex argument and boil it down into a simplistic message, with Labor attempting to say, look, he's opposed to any Indigenous recognition at all. And as we know, it's been Anthony Albanese had to be dragged kicking and screaming to promote the no case, to allow for funding to be to promote the no case. There'll be no constitutional convention, as happened around the referendum on the Republic. And so in a time where people are disconnected from news and from newspapers and not really interested in political debates, there's a lot more likelihood, as Michael points out, that people will vote with the vibe as opposed to rational thought about how the Constitution serves us.
Absolutely. No, I think that's right. But you said it's a complex argument, and I think that could be right now the challenge for the Liberals. It is complex. It's not a slogan, it's a complex argument, and the voters will be still wondering why they're for some kind of voice in principle, but against it in practice. I think it's going to be a real nightmare. Michael Costa, David Gazza, thank you both for your time.
Thanks, Andrew.
No worries. Thanks, Andrew.